Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Loophole Podcast. I'm your host, Loopie. Alongside me is also your host, Jelani Moona, and our special guest for today's episode of the Loophole Podcast, Silvartop.
How you doing, guys?
How y'all doing?
I'm doing great, and I feel like this will be a great podcast because it's a podcast that starts the year, so I feel like that this will be a great one.
Yeah. And
With some bonus points.
yeah, for those who are watching right now, how do you guys like the new look? You know, I thought we would probably just, go away from the green. There's nothing wrong with green, but I mean, just something new, really.
Yeah.
The scrolling text is back. The breaking news are back. So things are actually smooth and well laid out. But hey, less about the podcast, less about us. We got our special guest right here, Silvartop. Now I'd like you for a brief moment to introduce yourself, what you're about, and how can people find your content.
Right, so there's not a lot to say. I started off in a very shameful way in 2015 when I was a teenager, thinking that I could record videos. Didn't work out, but at some point I gave up. It was a little bit tired. But in 2020 I came back, made a few memes with GTA 5. Those clicked off. I even found people that, they shared high school life with me. At some point they found me again because of the videos. But then I was a little bit, I didn't want to be a one-hit wonder or something like that. So I started doing a little bit of reaction or commentary in general. EDP did what he did, and that was a huge thing. Amber Heard, that was another point where my channel also took off. And ever since, I've always wanted to do things that I like to do, not just trendy. So I just do a little bit of gaming once in a while. And currently, I'm on YouTube, TikTok, but obviously always focusing on YouTube.
Great. How's TikTok treating you with like short form content?
Well, TikTok has an amazing thing of, even though you do not sometimes, if it's something that is really not what people are looking for, you're gonna have zeros, tens. It's kind of shocker. But when you do find something that works out, TikTok works way better than YouTube at recommending stuff. The way that YouTube currently does things, it's like someone who overthinks, like someone like me.
Yeah.
That looks at the title, looks at the description, but not only that, has a robot analyzing what happens in the video, what people are talking about. It analyzes the captions. TikTok doesn't give a shit about that. TikTok just releases the video, and their CTR is based on engagement. People commenting, people liking it, that's pretty it.
Yeah.
And for example, I did like an experiment. I released both on YouTube and on TikTok, something about Cyberpunk. That was the anime show that came out. On TikTok, the contrast was like, I think 1 million on 2 videos, and on YouTube was like about 40,000. So TikTok is really great if you really do have that short form thing, figure it out, understand that people have a short attention span. You have to have subtitles on that, but as long as you do that, yeah, TikTok is a good platform. Yeah. However, YouTube is always that one that if you do have passion projects, you want to talk about stuff, you want to be a little more mellow and a little more less Gen Z, yeah, YouTube is going to be the best platform for you.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about YouTube Shorts?
YouTube Shorts work kind of the same way as TikTok. Again, they overanalyze the videos, but I think if you try it with Shorts, for example, I have just a little sample here. My Fresh and Fit on Flagrant 2 video on what was our podcast, it was like a little meme. That shit hit 36,000, and the only shorts that I have is about 4. I never really was about a small format content creator, but that hit 36,000 when that full video only hit about 600 views or 1,000 maybe, something like that. So it's a huge contrast. YouTube Shorts work, but if you want to make content about reaction or commentary where you go a little bit of a deeper dive, it's not going to work out. But Shorts are a great way to advertise your original video, for example, and I think people should use the Shorts in that way.
Yeah. It's definitely going to get a lot more competitive around February time because February, I mean, I guess everybody knows YouTube is finally going to properly monetize the shorts instead of that shitty fucking shorts fund system that, they were trying to do like last year.
And that thing is actually something that they already have over TikTok. Because, for example, on TikTok, I hit the threshold to be monetized. But since I'm in Portugal, that shit is not happening. But on YouTube, obviously, since I'm already monetized with AdSense, meaning that if people start making money with shorts and they were monetized before, they need to hit a new threshold, I believe, or maybe not. Not sure. Didn't see that part. But that means that if you are in a country that already covers monetization on AdSense, you're gonna get paid with shorts, and that's a really good. I think YouTube is making really good options here.
So, wait, because you're in Portugal, like, is monetization like not not available?
No. You have to be in the United States, France, Spain, and a few more countries. Obviously, China and some other, but you can't monetize anything outside of that.
That's weird. Have you tried a VPN?
I'm pretty sure the taxation form would kind of fuck me up there.
Oh yeah.
Because they have to you have to tell them your address, and
well,
for any effects, I do have to fill out my taxes on revenue.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about tax information, but I'll be able to tell the truth soon. All right, but don't kill me. But nah, bro. For some reason, like I was much younger, and I just like remember I was first affiliated on Twitch in 2019. I was 14 years old, bro. I was like, what the fuck? They gotta ask for your tax info? What the hell is this?
Yeah.
YouTube would never do that, and I never knew that YouTube actually did that.
It does. I mean, it's basic information, just address and phones and all that.
Yeah.
And then you have to take care of your own taxes in your own country. It depends. In the United States, you have to fill out the whole thing because they don't allow you to get revenue without actually like immediately telling the IRS what you got. But in my country, it works a little bit differently. You also need to hit a minimum threshold and all that. But since I did, it complicates stuff a little bit. But I mean, as a kid, the whole fucking thing of asking for a phone number already scared me.
Yeah, I mean,
the address. I mean, that was another step.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
I remember when I was 12 years old, I'd have to use my mother's phone because I didn't have a phone at the time.
Yeah, that was also me.
Man, I don't know if you guys remembered, but on YouTube there was this thing. It was called YouTube Capture, and you were able to film a YouTube video within YouTube. You were able, like, all you had access to was just the camera. And I mean, you can do that on your phone, but there wasn't even a YouTube app at that time, I'm pretty sure.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, there was like YouTube Capture, and bro, I was like 7, 8 or 9. I was just fucking around with that shit. Imagine if they had that now, like being able to film within YouTube.
Well, you can kind of like a short, I guess. You can record like up to 1 minute live with your phone.
Yeah, with your phone, but with like the computer, it was completely different. Yeah, because I was just doing these like Let's Plays. I had this like shitty ass Logitech camera, and I would just like stick it inside of like a freaking shoebox and just like, I don't know.
Yeah. They need to bring that back though. I feel like that there's a lot of potential with that. I don't know why they got rid of that. It makes no sense.
I mean,
as soon as we got like Streamlabs and OBS, it could do even more. At some point, people just gave up because that works out on a short form. But when people are about like on YouTube, you have much more many people editing and all that, and that usually takes a full software, recording and then editing. So I guess you could do that with TikTok. TikTok is a great way to record things on the spot, and then you can transfer to your computer, and then kind of use TikTok as an editor. But like I said, it really depends on the kind of content you're going for.
What I can say is that like we don't even like talk about. It's funny that we're doing this episode now because we literally never talk about how YouTube or how other social like streaming platforms work. I feel like YouTube doesn't actually cater to beginners. If you just stop and reflect for a second, everything you know about YouTube today, someone who had like absolutely doesn't know shit about YouTube and they're just trying to upload videos and shit, like having removed that YouTube capture thing on the PC where you were just able to record your webcam And I mean, there was the phone thing, the phone verification thing, where you could upload more than 15-second, or no, more than 15-minute long
15.
videos. Yeah. I feel like they don't they don't cater to beginner YouTubers anymore. I feel like because all of the courses that they put on YouTube Studio and everything, it's just, I mean, it's basic information for us.
It's gonna be very commercial.
It's very advanced for a new creator that just woke up from a coma or some shit and just found out about YouTube.
Though I think also, and maybe because the fact is when they used to have these programs and everything, they probably weren't gaining a lot of money from them, because people didn't really use them too often. And as you said, with the people doing longer form content, it's only suitable for shorter form content. So I believe maybe that may be the reason why they got rid of them in the first place. That's usually why things get taken away in the first place, if it's not making a profit that they thought it would make.
Yeah.
Especially back then when now you need 8 minutes to have like a ad in between. Back in the day, it used to be 10, and you remember all those fucking YouTubers that would constantly push a video up to 12 when they only had content for 5. And that's I'm assuming that's why YouTube didn't give a shit about that, because back then the short form wasn't really monetized. Back then you had to do a whole fucking documentary to be monetized.
YouTube is way more tolerable to this day than it was in 2016. I don't care what anybody says. I know there was a bunch of I feel like it's much more tolerable in the sense where you don't get demonetized so easily. All right. I only hear of very few creators who still get the same demonetized problem where you say a swear word in the first 30 seconds of the video and then no more ads.
Yeah, I think YouTube got a lot of backlash. They kind of improved on that. Now what they say, even though it's still a little bit confusing, what they say is that you can't curse more or say fuck more than twice in the first 30 seconds, which is very random. But I've tried it. Sometimes I think in one video I said 4 times fuck in the first 30 seconds. They didn't give a shit. They didn't monetize. What I will say is that they are random. Sometimes my cleanest video will get striked with limited monetization.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just I guess YouTube is not as bad as TikTok, for example. I don't know if you know that channel, but they do a bunch of commentary as well. The very first video they uploaded to TikTok, which was kind of harmless, got immediately flagged, and I think their account even got banned. On YouTube, I would say that they are a little more tolerable, and usually when they fuck up people, they fuck up in a random way. They don't really target you by, your history, let's call it. So I think YouTube is a little more fair on that, but it's still shitty in the way they do stuff.
Random is dangerous. It's very it's very dangerous. Look, this is, I mean, my main channel, right? This is probably the 20th channel that I've created. Not because I got banned, but how shit goes, man. It doesn't work. You want to start over, you just make a new channel. I got so many fucking emails. It's terrible. But I've gotten banned twice before, and both of those times they said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna pass this on to our advanced professional people," and then 3 years later, nothing at all, and it's like,
no.
Yeah.
YouTube support that is not going to help you out ever.
Yeah.
Especially now, we have still a lot of people complaining, even professional YouTubers talking about how they have to go to Twitter to complain about shit. Their feedback center does not work. No matter, especially if you're little. If you're little, you're fucked. No one's going to hear you. But even big YouTubers are going through the issue of not having kind of communication with YouTube, and that's always going to be an issue that I feel like other platforms don't have as much as YouTube.
Well, I mean, Instagram has kind of that way where the support is non-existent. I believe it's because it's just because of the amount of people that are on there. Really, I mean, they have to cater to millions of people, so I think, it can be hard though. So it's understandable in a way.
Yeah. But they still have that responsibility to. With the money they make every year, when you get a report where they increase every fucking trimester, I would assume they put as many people as they usually put on, for example, video reviews. If I send my video to get reviewed for monetization, it usually needs like 2 days to get approved. Why don't we have that same, like, I guess, workforce or focus in having people analyze stuff more accordingly to what people need? Because they supposedly have a content creator channel, as in like the way you can communicate with them, that gets ignored. So if they can't, I guess, provide with support, then don't even offer it. I think that's the biggest issue, is that they say they have it, but they don't.
Yeah. Okay. Bro, what I fucking find so weird is that, alright, Google or Alphabet is like, I guess, the parent company of Google, from what I see right here. I didn't even know about this shit. They're $1 trillion company. Could they not just fucking hire more people? Real people.
Absolutely.
Twitter, at Team YouTube. Look, Twitter was where I got the worst experience, because like that's when they told me like, yeah, no, everything's fine. No way. And I actually got good, like the feedback center. That's like the live chat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I actually had some pretty good experiences by talking with a real agent. I feel like if they just set up a freaking call center somewhere in Morocco or some shit where all the, like the French internet providers go, like, bro, I feel like if they just set up a call center over there, man, like shit would actually move. All right. Because, I mean, when you actually got a real agent and he's not just being like, yo, let me just pass this down and shit. When you got somebody on the phone, for example, like that, it's over. You back them against the wall. They have to respond immediately to your problems and concerns. A call center for Google or YouTube support and shit like that would be blessed. You know what I mean? And that would be, more jobs. That's better for the economy. I mean, shit. You know what I mean? Like, but the only thing we have is Twitter at Team YouTube, and that shit is literally just a guy who's just copy and pasting. And they removed capitals on the tweet to make it seem like it's just some wholesome human being, posting and shit, when it's just a bot. And they're talking about like, oh yeah, we're gonna pass this information to our technical team. Bro, I thought you guys were all technicians. Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, you have someone who doesn't even have power to make decisions, responsible decisions, and that's always going to be an issue.
Yeah. I actually. Go ahead.
This is more of a general question, but like, how do you feel about like corporations that try and like pass off as human beings on like social media, like Twitter and Instagram and all that? How do you feel about that?
To me, pandering is one of the worst fucking things. It's not like the most unethical thing, but it is one of the most annoying shit that I see. And for example, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but when you have like these big communication companies or ISPs, whatever, these companies that obviously offer products to adults, and they spam meme after fucking meme on their Facebook page. I know that this is a company that I'm not going to trust, because the fucking ability to have the way they have to deal with shit on a promotional way is through pandering. So when you have robots or bots operating social media accounts, that's where I draw the line. And it's kind of a thing that is happening so frequently that it's not the most unethical thing ever, but it is certainly the most annoying to me.
Oh man, yeah, they just, it's fucking cringe.
The pandering is awful.
Oh man, look, there was a time around like 2015 where there wasn't that much pandering with these brand accounts. Like, it wasn't trending, so I thought it was completely like, cool, I guess, when a brand account would just be like, yo, what's up, emojis and shit. Like, you would never see a brand account doing freaking emojis in 2015. That's for sure. But then like Tesco Mobile comes out of nowhere and just starts following people and be like, these like corny ass quizzes. And 10-year-old me, I was like, you know what, Tesco Mobile follows my Twitter account. Yeah. But now it's just like, these fucking brand accounts, they're just like, you look at Skittles, for example. I mean, terrible. This is why Smarties are better.
No, I feel like it started with Wendy's, because I remember back then when Wendy's used to do that roast thing. I feel like it started from there. It was good. It was good at the time.
Yeah, that was great.
Too many companies started following the pathway, and they started ruining it. Went down to the ground.
Yeah, it got diluted. The more they did, the less you saw even Wendy's, and the quality just kept going down from there. That usually happens when people pick up a new trend. But when that happens with companies, I mean, I'm assuming it affects their business. So I don't even know why they keep doing that. I guess it must work because they would stop doing that shit.
Yeah. I mean Skittles is
like,
corny as shit.
Yeah. I feel like there's a problem with being too relatable. Like, I understand when people try to make relatable content and everything to try and get people to follow them, because obviously, you know, if we relate, when we relate to things, you know, we like to share our things, we like to share our thoughts. However, when you get too relatable, it gets to the point where it's like, it's too forced. You know, you try and force something relatable. That's not too relatable to everyone.
And people see through that shit. The worst thing that I hate seeing companies do is like pretend that they are not for the profit. You know, when you have, and this is a traditional case, when you have, for example, I remember BMW, I think it was, when they came up with that rainbow logo to support LGBT. But then, and they did for every single team in every single country. But when it came to Saudi Arabia, they kept their fucking BMW marker because they knew the shit that was gonna result in terms of business collapse if they kept the rainbow flag to the Saudi Arabia division. And I just keep telling these companies, you don't have to do any of this shit. It doesn't, even if it's the man's day, whatever the fuck it is, if it's anything relatable to me, stop pretending that you as a company you are human, that you care about me, because I know that at the end of the day you care about selling products. I don't want you to be unethical, but I don't expect you to be like charitable or to try to appease that idea that you're doing stuff for me, because companies, I don't expect them to do that shit. I just expect them to sell products, share the profit with their employees, and move on. Companies that pander is just fucking annoying.
Yeah, I can seriously appreciate, like, even just listening to you right now, bro. Like, with what you just said right here. Bro, I fucking feel that on, like, such an energy, bro. Companies seriously don't give a shit. You are nothing but a statistic. You're nothing but a statistic to the people who built this. You're nothing but a statistic to people who built this. Who invented this. Who made Smarties. Like, you know, I'd like to think Smarties gives a shit about me, but they really don't. And it's not really healthy in the long term, all right? It's just temporary happiness. But with the social stuff, all right, when it comes to social media and shit like that, it's like, yeah, we care about you. I think, like, the global message that should be, like, promoted is, you know, positivity, love, and peace, and it should not be gate kept by certain communities, such as, and this is going to probably be controversial. This is going to resurface in 3 years. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, he's getting canceled right now.
The Twitter police already arrived at his fucking apartment.
But, like, kind of going back with the companies, though, I hate it the most when, like, they put the LGBT thing for June, and then they get rid of it by July.
Yeah, immediately. And that's the clear evidence of what everyone already knows, that they don't really care. In the end of the day, if it doesn't result in numbers, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Back, I was just saying goodnight to my father, but, all right, so the perfect example with everything I imagine y'all just said right here and what, you know, Silvartop said before. A big example is, like, you know, these, you know, the people who cater to LGBT, or the people who cater to, I don't know, you know, Black History Month or Asian History Month, you know, all of these, I guess, you know, social movements or whatever. I feel like this is gonna sound like, oh yeah, all lives matter and shit like that. I'm not trying to dismiss anybody's message, but I feel like if you want to promote a message of positivity and peace, it should not be gate kept to all of these communities, and I feel like it should be just a global thing. For example, you know, BMW, I imagine they have a specific business model, all right? And I know it's just cars, and it's just cars. You know what I mean? But think about the pioneers of that business. Think about what I guess they would have wanted for the business and what message it would have, promoted. I'm thinking of Apple. Think different. All right, that's a message that was promoted, by the pioneers of the company, Wozniak and Jobs and another guy, I forgot his name. Is it what? Wait, is it Wozniak? Am I?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
So, not confusing.
Bro.
Windows, am I?
Yeah,
I think you're right.
bro, I keep fucking confusing with the freaking Scott the Woz guy.
Yeah.
No, Wozniak, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right. There was another thing I was gonna say that.
I know Nike with Just Do It.
Yeah, just business models that promote, positivity and peace and love and everything. I feel like it just gets more and more corporate and shit like that, and nobody seriously gives a shit about you, all right? Nobody that, invented look around, all right? Like, these are people who worked in factories or who worked, trying to, I guess, build the right kind of marketing for a certain product. The guys who invented your mics or whatever, they don't give a shit about you. You're just a statistic, all right? They're not going to care if little Timmy, they're not going to care if little Timmy broke his leg as a result of, just doing a stanky leg too much or some shit. Like, I don't know. Like,
But the funny thing about the slogans that you just used,
yeah.
they are used to personal positivity, as in you have to act to cause that effect. It's not as in, rainbow flag and that's it. We support LGBT. There's no motherfucking message in that.
Yeah.
When you have the just do it, like you said, or the act different, or think differently.
Yeah.
That those are messages that no matter who you are, no matter what kind of sexual orientation you have, no matter what skin color, that is something that you can practice.
Yeah.
When you limit, I guess, your celebration of positivity to one group, that's why I say, that's fucking useless. Why would I want that?
Yeah, what's up, Livy? Welcome to the chat. But go ahead, Jelani.
Yeah. I think you could get to a point where you're too inclusive, to where you just become exclusive again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's kind of weird that way, though. Quite honestly.
The best way that I could describe that by using recent events is Germany's performance at the World Cup.
Yeah. Exactly on it.
Bro, they were doing these kneeling things. They were wearing the captain of the team was wearing rainbow armbands, even though Qatar, who gives a shit about the country's laws? We're here to play football, you know what I mean? And because they were too focused on being politically correct, the football team and shit like that, they got knocked out of the group stage, you know what I mean? They put the focus on the wrong thing.
And they were quickly disarmed too. They were with all that shit of here we are, strong, and then someone says shut the fuck down, you don't get paid, and they sit down. When you see that, it's a worse fucking message than what you started with.
Yeah.
I think that when you try something that you're gonna fail, 100% you're gonna fail, it just hurts the cause even more. So it was really sad to see what they did in in Qatar.
Yeah. I mean, look, you got these host countries, their goal, I mean, they bid to be in the top spot for, the World Cup or for the Euros. I think the Euros is going to be hosted in Germany, I think, in 2024. So, these are countries who, bid to have their spot. They thought that they could bring something to the table. I mean, they did. I mean, the stadiums were beautiful. The shows were beautiful. The fucking... What was it, they had fucking whales in the stadium or some shit, during the final, so, these are just countries, despite their laws, all right, this is completely outside of football. These are just rich people who are just bidding to have their spot and bring something to the table at the World Cup. It happens every 4 years. Next time, we're going to USA, Mexico, and Canada. Now, that's dope, because more than one country is contributing. But like I don't know, like just Brazil didn't have some good laws either.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if Portugal hosted a World Cup. I'm not sure
I
if
think
they.
we. I'm not sure either, and like
Yeah,
I switched off when it was that our turn, to be honest. Ironically, but I
yeah,
think when you consider those, like you said, in the end of the day, it has nothing to do with human rights. Like FIFA couldn't give two shits if the country currently has human rights. For example, they did that shit with Qatar, or people had a problem with Qatar. They defended Qatar, but when Russia and Ukraine war broke out, immediately they fucking banned all of the basically Russian teams from playing internationally, nationally. FIFA wouldn't associate with them.
mm,
And I say that that's a little bit of like pick and choosing what kind of causes you go for. And it was
Yeah.
clear that when it was with Russia, I mean, standing with Russia is social suicide for you. Like if you stand today with Russia, of course, people are going to have a huge problem with that. So FIFA, to them, it was a no-brainer. But as soon as Qatar came, people only gave a shit once the actual competition started, because these reports of workers who went there and they were threatened from getting their visas revoked and shit just because they were disagreeing with the current laws.
yeah,
That shit was there for years. No one gave a shit. Once the competition went in,
yeah,
people have had an issue. I mean, you
bro.
need to understand that FIFA, trying to hold FIFA accountable for what companies fucking do every day, it's not that you're wrong for it, but you need to start paying attention more closely to the things that happen every day.
Yeah, I mean, for those who are watching football or playing football, I'm just here to watch and consume, the sports. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
um, I understand when it gets to a point where it's like, all right, well, universally agree that something is really wrong there. But with Qatar, it's out of our control. It's laws, like you said, it's been there for years. Nothing we can do about it. All right. But at the same time, people are, just claiming to, I guess, be doing this as their cause and just, talking about these countries' laws. Let me just name you like 10 countries, all right, who hosted the World Cup, and you tell me which one of them were innocent as a country. All right. Brazil, England, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Qatar, Russia, South Africa, Switzerland, and Switzerland is just
Switzerland is the only one they got to pass.
Yeah.
As soon as you mention,
Yeah.
for example, of course,
USA.
British people,
Yeah.
when British people might have a problem with it, but you need to understand that when it comes to history, England is one of the biggest scumbags in terms of countries
Oh
in the
yeah,
world.
yeah,
In the world, they colonized basically everything. There was this one guy that was doing a keynote. I don't know what the fuck it was, and the guy challenged anyone to say or to name a country that England didn't defeat or colonize. Like they did everything. They went around the fucking globe, and
yeah,
obviously it's easy to forget now when the UK provides so much profit. What's the right word? I guess income to the world, or actual
Yeah.
advantages to everyone. But England is also very risky when it comes to, let's say, what you call it, human rights. Now, sure, Qatar is currently going through them, but this is not a surprise. This shit has been there for years. So when
Yeah.
people all of a sudden had an issue with Qatar, I was like really fucking confused. And the problem with people, and this goes a little bit specifically to sports. Actually, it can be general to sports. When you see people complaining about how an athlete gets paid more than a doctor, people need to understand that every time you tune in to the television and you see the fucking match, you're the one providing them those millions of dollars, because they wouldn't distribute money they don't have. So when people have a problem with Qatar being the main let's say host to the World Cup or some shit like that, and this team has investment in Bellic weapons or whatever, like you're the one providing that money. Stop watching the fucking television, and maybe you're gonna change stuff. But people don't want to do that. People want to criticize. They want to complain. But once it hits time to actually do something, they don't fucking don't.
yeah,
They pretend to be ignorant about it.
yeah,
No, I believe that like stuff like this could be like a result of like people hating on religions. I know that Islamophobia is very huge, and that could lead into the hatred of these countries, like Qatar, for example.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I can see that. All of a sudden, because it is an Muslim country, all of a sudden they had an issue with something that many of other countries are also doing. Yeah, that goes without saying. I think that, like I said, people are very short-sighted. They only see what is currently happening, and they forget either about what's going to happen next, which is obvious, or the things that happened in the past that we already know for sure. People tend to be ignorant because it is the easiest thing to do.
Look, I want to talk about something. I just wanted to get it out because, the World Cup is over, all right? And we're, I guess, in the topic of, just controversial shit going on with countries. What I found to be completely hilarious is that, look, I'm not dismissing anything before anyone, goes around saying like, but blah, blah, blah. I want to say, what I found fucking hilarious was President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine being denied to speak at the FIFA World Cup final. I think that it just sealed the deal for me. I don't know. The fact that they just removed, they just said no to Zelensky and just being like, keep your war shit to yourself. I just found that shit to be hilarious. I don't know why. And look, in this whole situation, Ukraine doesn't fucking deserve, invasion and shit like that. But at the same time, you can only do so much in a war, and I can completely understand it, but making people feel sorry for your shit, like, this is your responsibility. You got to get out of this, war. You can't just barge into every, sporting event. I mean, yeah. He might have gotten... He might have gotten away with, politicizing Eurovision, which I'm still kind of pissed about, I'll be honest with you. Bro, fucking bunch of countries got robbed. UK got robbed, seriously, but got away with politicizing Eurovision. They didn't get away with politicizing football, and they took a huge L in that regard. And I like Zelensky. I think Zelensky is, actually a decent human being because, he came from just simply entertainment and then now he just became president. But again, he came from the entertainment background. And I have a feeling yes, him barging into events just to talk, peace and shit like that. It's almost the same maturity level as using one of my friends as a middleman to talk to one of my ex-girlfriends. You know what I mean? It's basically the same maturity level. And again, with the background of entertainment coming from Zelensky, I can expect that. But I don't know what you guys think about, the whole World Cup final.
I think the biggest problem with Ukraine, that's one of the things that I wouldn't really pin on Zelensky. I wouldn't say he's the one we have to shout at. I think it's the people that anytime they get a request from Ukraine, they have to accept it, otherwise they're going to get backlash.
Yeah.
And with Ukraine, I remember when that missile hit Poland, and everyone was already fucking mad. No one knew the answer. No one knew the truth, and they were saying that it was a Russian missile that hit Poland. Everyone assumed that as to be true. When that news came out that it was in fact an Ukrainian missile, all of a sudden, at least my local news stations didn't report a fucking thing. Not at all. And I think that when it comes to Ukraine, I think Ukraine gets a lot of pass in terms of coverage because it is European. Afghanistan was in a much deeper shit, much bigger issue. All these fucking years. Afghanistan, ever since it was created or founded, whatever, it never really had peace. It never had anyone controlling them, controlling the populace. It never had a government, or at the very least, a healthy one. But people ignore fucking Afghanistan. Now it comes with Ukraine. It's been 1 year, I feel like 10 months since Ukraine started.
11.
And people are still on it, and people are analyzing it daily. And I understand when countries are closer to us, we are usually more, how should I say this, attentive, I guess, with more precaution. But United States is involved, and the United States is a fucking ocean away from Ukraine. What the fuck do they care? And it's clear when you see all those like, little deals they are doing with the Ukraine. Obviously, the United States is still practicing what they did in World War II, which is to provide, trade pacts and all that to improve their economic situation. And I don't blame them too much. I mean, I would also look for a retribution or a reward from that. But when I see people just seeing Ukraine as a completely different topic or a different war that they've never seen, like in my country, they always label it as when they pop in the news as Ukraine as the Cold War. It's not a fucking Cold War. It's actually being fought, and it is a war, like a proxy war that has been happening with Afghanistan and Iraq. It's not bigger than Iraq and Afghanistan. It's not a bigger event. It's not going to lead to world destruction, or at the very least, it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
And I think Ukraine just has that media coverage that makes Zelensky the god, and it isn't. He's just a good human being. He's a good leader. I feel like when I see him in the front lines, it's something that I wish I could see in every country. But that's not something that would make us have more coverage over Ukraine than Afghanistan, for example.
What is really dangerous in mainstream world, what is really, really dangerous is the over glorification of trending topics, making Ukraine the complete angel in a situation. Now that has the same maturity level as someone in middle school going like, he started. You know what I mean? There's wrong in both sides. I gotta say there's wrong in both sides. It's very dangerous to just completely over glorify what's going on in the world, especially like for some reason ever since like the world leader of Afghanistan, as soon as that live coverage of the Taliban invasion hit, left the country. As soon as the invasion happened, complete silence. They and it's so fucking weird because the guy who fucking ran away from his country, all right, gave up the entire country to a group of terrorists, and that shit's not getting fucking covered. Or whatever's going on in Iran, whatever's going on in Iraq, which what's going on in Afghanistan or what happened in Afghanistan. I mean, look, I'm half American, but at least I kind of got the balls to say, like, part of this is the U.S.'s fault, because all of the U.S. troops, for example, that were in Afghanistan kind of died because they weren't given the easy way home, and the whole operation, I guess, of keeping the peace between Afghanistan and the Taliban was just completely like, they just clicked off. Clicked off, opened a new tab. Oh shit, Ukraine's happening. Like, and they could have provided the same amount of help for Afghanistan when that shit was going on. But at the end of the day, I think that countries helping other countries is putting countries more in debt rather than just helping out. USA has one of the biggest fucking debts out there, bro. Like,
in the trillions.
And that's dangerous, and you can't keep leading a country like this. And what, gas prices? Nah, man. Like, these newer age presidents, like Biden and Obama and fucking, I don't know, some other, like, anyone from both parties, you know what I mean? They just care about the social issues. They just care about, like, human rights for people with 3 legs or some shit. Like, and instead of caring about, the real world issues, such as taxes and cost of living and I mean, yes, human rights is a thing. I mean, like, segregation was also a thing, and I'm glad that shit's, for as far as I know, completely gone in the U.S., really, or anywhere else in, well, most countries. So as long as we're able to accept every single human being, for their content of character and not, how they were born, and start focusing on the real life issues, because like more and more people are being homeless, More and more people are losing their jobs, losing their businesses, losing their minds. I mean, like, it's dangerous to just keep focusing on like social issues, like as a world leader of a country.
I mean, this was a meme at some point, but it does show the reality of it. For example, I don't know if you guys remember that meme of Detroit. You know, basically anything that you'd see that was a really bad image or something destroyed, it was Detroit, or someone who got stolen, it was Detroit. But you look at actual real images of Detroit, which is an American city, and people put Afghanistan in contrast, side by side. The fucking thing looked the same. And I wonder why Detroit, the reconstruction of it, which is still happening but slowly, isn't being covered by a bigger, I guess, with a bigger media coverage than, for example, a lot of the shit show fucking conversation that we usually have. For example, the pink tax. I understand there's a lot of female products that get taxed just because they're female. But why are we focusing so much attention on that when there's still cities that are fucking destroyed? People sleeping in dirt. People with that, they don't even have drinkable water, as it happened on that city, Flint. Like, when that happens, how the fuck do you not care about the biggest issues? And I think people just have a problem with prioritization. They don't know exactly what actually matters the most.
Yeah. Though, what I would say is, I feel like another reason why it's kind of hard to solve these issues is because when it comes to these issues, both sides, both Republican and Democrat have to be in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And as you've seen, like Biden has tried to create some sort of plans to help the world, like with student loans and everything, but I've seen that the Republicans kind of they voted against it, so it's kind of hard to kind of it can be hard that way because of that system.
Yeah. I mean, it's really weird as an outsider to look at the United States with a two-party system and see how that in 2022 is still a thing. It's very confusing. I live in Portugal, so we have, like, I don't know, at least a big one, 6 parties or some shit like that. And there's a lot of situations where there's a consensus with all 6. When United States can't even do that shit with 2 parties, that's why I see, like you're saying, a big issue. And I think United States, part of the big issue that they have about not doing shit that actually matters is because Democrats and Republicans look at politics as a fucking match, a dick measuring contest or something like that.
Yeah.
And in the end of the day, they have to appease the little groups they know they're going to vote on.
Bro.
And that's going to be a problem always.
But the new generational figures that are emerging into those 2-party systems, bro, I did follow American politics for quite a while because, I was like, I'm fucking half American. What was going on in the U.S. Economically was actually helping my family because, shit. And just like everything that comes out of both of these people's mouths is just like none of them are truly convincing. None of them are truly for the people, by the people. Like, I'm sorry, that sounded overly American, but no one's really out there to actually, help society. It's mostly just, yes, there's these social issues and human rights and shit like that, but nothing that is truly improving cost of living. I mean, cost of living is seriously the most important thing out there. If you guys ever saw in the UK, cost of living in England is fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad.
In other countries in the UK, it's actually fine. It's actually controllable. But for some reason, in England, it's just too much. People are not even able to heat their homes. I was on I'm Just Bates Instagram page, and I just saw this radio station. I think it was BBC. I'm not too sure. I don't follow British media, but it was just this this poor dude with his dog. He was just phoning into the radio station, just being like, yo, I'm not gonna be able to heat my home. I'm just gonna die in the freezing cold in my home all by myself and shit. And you see that and it's like, what the fuck?
In England,
yeah,
country like England.
Yeah, like England, you know, like you'd expect this in fucking, I don't know, in other countries, I guess, where it's not really talked about. Like, I don't know, you would expect this in many other countries than England, but life is just expensive in every country. You could have the best economy in the world, but it's still very expensive to lead a life these days. And I can't stop but think that 30 years ago, I bet the cost of living and I bet a lot of things were not that bad. That's probably
it wasn't.
That's probably why there's a lot of like doctors and lawyers and shit like that. And it's just like all of these people, they're just getting lower and lower and lower because it's all the old people either dying or retiring and shit like that. I feel like not many people actually want to be a doctor or a lawyer these days because of just such a terrible educational system. For me personally, like school has never worked for me. Like I dropped out twice. You know, I left school because, you know, they fucked me over. Like the staff fucked me over, and then for 18 months I was out of school. Then I got back into homeschooling. I signed up for this, you know, degree, this diploma, and then they were like, you know, fuck you.
That reminds me of a cool story.
Yeah.
Like when I was in college, I had this one teacher that was saying that, you know, asked the question, how many of us needed or wanted to pursue a PhD, I guess, like the one that is higher than just being having a diploma in college. I don't know how you call it in the United States, but
there's masters, there's doctorate.
Masters. That's the one that we're going
Yeah.
to use. I think because we were doing the usual graduate formation, we had then the masters, and she was asking who wanted to go with a master's degree. And I remember there was a few people, and she said, okay, to all those who said no, you need to start thinking because having a college degree is not worth it anymore. I was there thinking, what the fuck am I here for then? Because I did not have any intentions of going for a master's degree. But the reality is she was not wrong. When you come out of college and you understand that the work industry all of a sudden asks you to know fucking astrophysics just to clean some fucking leaves on the street, you see the issue that goes even worse than living costs, which is the fact that to get paid even considerably well, you have to pull your fucking back and absolutely destroy it. And when you're 30, spend all that money that you made on fucking medical bills and mental health issues, for example.
Yeah.
I think it's just really bad the way that we have our education system because this thing in Nordic countries, for example, Finland, Norway, these countries don't really have such a big focus on college. I mean, usually people do, but they don't go for master's or PhD because they know that work experience always speaks higher. And when you compare that fact, and then, like you said, you know, how politics influences a lot the cost of living, there they talk every single day. They don't give a shit about what's happening with Kardashian's ass. What they cared about is which politician is going to win next run, what's going to be the taxes, and that happens a lot in these countries. From people that I know and they are witnesses, they say that their political life is in fact highlighted, and they talk that shit daily. When you see that even in my country, and especially the United States, where people just focus on some Facebook video going trendy, I mean, yeah, you're going to have issues with that, and you're always going to have a country that's going to be a little bit weaker for it.
Yeah. I think that, you know, speaking about the whole job thing, I believe that the reason why jobs are so focused on education is the mere fact that they're just trying to limit how many people they get, like when it comes to job applications. That's just it. Nothing else. Just to limit how many applications they get daily.
Yeah.
And that causes a lot of problems that way.
What makes the world go round these days, and I'm just coming to terms with it because as a double dropout, I guess I just have to, you know, I'll be honest with you, I don't see myself kind of going to school again, and this is kind of dangerous, I guess, for a person who lives in France. I'm 17 years old. I am only just 2 weeks away from being 18. It's fucking dangerous to drop out to drop out of school twice, but I am in no legal obligation to pursue with education. And really what makes the world go around is just experience and know-how. And you have to find a geographical spot, I guess, somewhere, a country, or anyone with just a work system or a work ethic of, okay, well, if you know how to do our job, then just come here. We don't want a piece of paper that just tells you that you survived 10 years with us, what I mean? Like, kind of thing.
I got lucky in that aspect. I guess if you do not have a legal obligation to continue studying, for example, one thing that, even though I did have a college degree, one thing that I figured out was that there will always be a place for you in fields that a lot of people don't think about, but they make a lot of money. For example, plumbing, which is not my area, but it's something that gets paid a lot, and people always assume you're going to be working with fucking pipes. I mean, that must not pay a lot, but it's one of the highest paying jobs when it comes to a technical degree. And I decided to try my shot with, for example, IT. In IT, you can't get into any fucking company without a degree. But there was this one company that understood that I didn't know jack shit, but offered to educate me, or reskill, as they call it. And in the end of the day, you have to look for those fields that are a little more modern when it comes to mentality, and they understand that work experience will always be better than the piece of fucking paper that tells you what you did for 3 years, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I think you have a way out, but you do have to make it make a compromise in what you want to do for a large span of your life.
Yeah. What do you want to do?
People shouldn't have to do that. People shouldn't have to do that, but I guess it's the reality.
Yeah. Look, I've come to this very recent revelation in my life that, and I just, came to that revelation as I was just listening to people, and, obviously I was also listening to myself. Like, people these days, especially content creators or musicians or whatever, just media people, are using, I guess, school or jobs or whatever as a system to fall back on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I used to think that was like a healthy thing. I was thinking to myself, because after dropping out of school for a second time, that this like, I need something to fall back on, and I don't have anything to fall back on. I was literally searching ways of education in different places. I was going to go study at my girlfriend's country, like all of these things that I thought were solutions, but they seem to be even more problems. And I'm spending way too much time thinking of a plan B instead of focusing on making plan A work. And this is where I talk about this in my video, and I feel like a lot of people who are listening to this podcast right now, and I think both of you might relate to this in the future, there's going to be a point where it's like, you're no longer going to want to have to fall back on something. And why are you focusing on trying to find something to fall back on when you should be looking for something to climb up with? And I literally thought about this, revelation, like, not even longer than 24 hours ago. I'll be honest. Like, I just thought about this, and I was like, well shit, I'm in this spot. Yes, it's dangerous. Where is this going to take me? But at this point, it's like, just fuck it. And I'm hoping that other people adopt this mindset too. I don't know any of y'all's, situations, but we're gonna get more into your background in a bit, Silvartop, I guess. But yeah, I feel like we should just, start adopting this mindset of do or die. At this point, we spend too much of our time looking for things to fall back on, to the point where it's like, well, time is just something that you cannot get back. If you just keep looking for things that to as a backup plan instead of actually making plan A work, then you're never going to, I guess, propel yourself anywhere, because you will have spent all of that time just, staying low.
Yeah, and especially at seven. Sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay, I relate to that a lot because, my mother kind of put that mindset of having a plan B. Because I have this show called JMS, short for Jelani Muna Show, and I kind of had this thought that if I was going to, because I was going to college at the time, and I was thinking about it, if I had to do work, school, and JMS all at the same time, I would not be able to handle all three at once. So I was thinking, which one should I drop? And the only one that made the most sense was school. And my mother was disappointed with my decision because the fact is that she wanted me to have something to fall back on. But then I realized that the only thing I have to do is just focus so much on JMS because I'm very passionate with JMS. At the end of the day, like it's sprung me back from the dark period of time that I used to be in 2022. So that's why I'm never gonna give up JMS. And I also want other people to have that same mindset of going through Plan A because Plan A is what's gonna make or break you one day. I feel like if you spend too much time on Plan B, then Plan A is just not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go the way you want it to be, and it just generally just not going to reach out to the people that you want it to reach out to.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't think the worst that can happen to people is the lack of Plan B. I think most of the times it's the fact that people don't even try anything at all. And
Yeah.
when, for example, I was in this time period where I ended college and I didn't know what the fuck to do, YouTube was there for me. Like immediately, the first paycheck that I ever gotten that was official was from YouTube, and this wasn't to me 300 euros. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? And when people focus so much on a plan B, on how I'm gonna have college, you need to understand that motivation is a great part of it, and people don't usually have motivation with school and college. I didn't have it. I had it because at some point I, like you said, had to make a decision, and I decided to cut YouTube. Today I regret that because even when I was very young at 15, I did enjoy making videos, and I would have a huge backlog right now of YouTube videos. And the most people don't fail because of bad plans. Bad plans are still a plan, and they will always get something going. You might find out that that plan was shit, but it did contribute to certain good things that you can work on. And most of the times, I think it's the military that usually says this, that the lack of a plan is the worst plan of them all. Sometimes you might have a shitty plan A, but fucking do it first. And then once plan B comes very clear that, okay, I failed with plan A on this point, that point, and that point, I'm going to do the opposite on plan B. And I think a lot of people, and I had that issue. I was an overthinker, but I was quitting on everything. And I decided from the moment I decided to not quit on YouTube, that's when I started to succeed actually.
Yeah.
At some point, even my mom was like a little bit distressed, like YouTube, that doesn't really pay that well. And at some point, I was able to purchase my actual first car in my own name with fucking YouTube. And at that point, she understood that. Yeah, she understood that motivation is a great part what drives people. If you don't have that motivation, forget it. And I understand school is always a good thing to fall back, but when you consider that a lot of people have this idea that you need to have a PhD or a master's or whatever, it's very confusing for a teenager to get into college again or to get into school again or even consider college. I think it really depends. I'm not going to say that school is shit. It really depends on where you live and your faculties and motivation. But if by what you guys describe, you don't have a motivation and you find it incredibly hard to see a future in it, then try to focus on, even if it is a bad plan, finding the good stuff that bad plan brought. And that's what I did. At some point, even with a college degree, I was like, fucking YouTube is great. I love this. And I still decided to focus on that.
Yeah.
And today, my trade-off might be just, a little bit of free time, but I can manage having a full-time work and YouTube. But, it was a fact that I had started on YouTube that actually landed a job in my current position because they understood that I didn't stay in the same position with my ass on my fucking chair expecting a job to land on me. I just decided to take my own initiative and make YouTube. And it was able to pay a few bills. So when people see that, I think that it is a really good plan for you to have, even if it started as a bad plan.
Yeah, yeah. And definitely, like, I guess for us as creators, plan A is keeping the lights on with our passions. It's simple as that, all right? It doesn't matter what you do. It could be, the commentary videos from Silvartop, or it could be the Jelani Muna show, or it could be my music, or it could be, my reaction videos, fucking whatever, all right? But our job, well, not our job, but the plan A, the ideal plan would be, stepping outside of the corporate world and just being your own guy and, just, make a living out of your passions. And, something that I learned, I guess, is, the plan B, I feel like, should just be to make plan A work. Because the plan A is the end goal. It's the end goal. It's the ideal goal. I believe, all of you, I believe you guys have an end goal. Just this moment in your life where it's like, all right, well, I'm at this stage of my life. I don't care if I got millions. I don't care if I got billions. I don't care, if I'm able to, sustain, freedom financially. I'm able to access life in a much easier way, despite the fact the cost of living, depends on the country, depends on, the geographical standpoint. The freedom, I guess, in a way, is the end goal. And yeah, I think the whole idea of like people just, shoving this whole thing of like, yeah, you have to get a degree to, make it in life or whatever. This is just shit that their grandmothers and grandfathers have, taught them. So we're just learning shit that worked 30 years ago that do not work at all now. Is this what we're going to teach? Like, is what we are experiencing in our lives going to teach, our grandchildren? Maybe our methods are just not going to work in the next 30 years. Because, as Agus Kusama said in the comments, I probably butchered your name, my guy, sorry. The technological advancing complicates the matter. Yeah. We're in an era of mainstream. We're in an era of just media and social networks and shit like that, where everything you just say is posted for thousands of people to see. This is not what was out there like 30 years ago. And, it's outdated, all right? We have to come up with a new method of teaching the youth exactly how to make a living out of your passions. Everybody has a passion. I feel like as long as you put the time and attention into the right things, you are able to monetize absolutely anything. Let's say if somebody wanted to pick up darts, for example, bro, you got freaking darts tournaments all around the world, or shit like that. Darts is a sport that nobody cares about, or a sport that people would watch if they were at the hospital and nothing else was on, you know what I mean? But it's monetizable. Or I don't know, if you're juggling pens or whatever, you're able to monetize absolutely anything in this world, as long as you put the right time and attention into it. Is it something that's going to work in the next 30 years? Fuck, I don't know. I mean, maybe what worked 30 years ago was not working 60 years ago. I don't know. Like,
yeah. I mean, back in the days, and I mean really back in the days, let's talk about 1950s. If someone came with the idea, if you had a kid that was 10 years old and said, I want to be a professional footballer, people would call them, like, people would seem that would consider that as a bad idea, because at this time, even if he did manage to become a footballer, he wasn't going to get paid shit. A lawyer would get paid more than a footballer. Now, today, if a kid ever says, I'm going to become a footballer, and he does, you're going to see all these family members that he never saw in his fucking life flock because he's getting paid like shit. Because now, today, being an athlete is one of the biggest, I'm pretty sure the biggest freelance job, if you consider freelance as like making your own shit, by just playing with balls, quite literally. Back in the day, you didn't have that. So there was like this inversion of what pays today. Becoming a lawyer back then, it was amazing. Now becoming a lawyer, you're going to be one in a fucking million. It's not even one in a thousand, it's going to be one in a million. And I don't think that's a lot of people focus on law degrees, for example. And they don't realize that the market is saturated with lawyers. The market is saturated with doctors. And even though we always need them, and there will always be people there, people need to analyze at the markets and find something that is kind of a diagram of Venn, you know, there's the things that you like and the things that people need, and you need to find that in between that's going to make you have a spot and be great. Like you said, you know, you can monetize anything. You see lockpicking lawyer, for example, it's a guy that literally makes videos about fucking locks and him cracking them, and he makes millions of views. I've caught myself watching. I don't fucking work with fucking locks, man. There's no locks in my house. And I was watching those videos because you can monetize absolutely anything.
Bro. Hold up, I'll be right back. Fucking hell. Wait.
But, you know, what I would say, though, is I feel like it's just the fact is that you can't answer a complex question with a simple answer. When it comes to the world and everything, because of how the world changes and everything. You know, I see people talk about, like, recommendations, what people should do, and I think especially when it comes to our parents and everything, it's because they have a different frame of time when it comes to the working world. Like, my mother is a nurse, and my father is a math teacher, and you know they're in their 40s. My father this year is going to turn 50, so. It's kind of confusing in a way because what they know and what they've learned is not the same thing as what we've learned and what we know.
Yeah, they have a different environment. The environments will really affect how people think and what they will end up doing. Because back in the day, you know, having a stable job in a company was great, but now you ask any millennial, and when I mean millennial, I'm not talking about my age. I'm talking about people who are already 30 and have kids. Back in the day, college to them was still an option, but they're seeing with their kids that that's not an option most of the times. You know, even that dumbass YouTuber that their kid follows so much is making a lot of money, making very less as in like effort. So when that reality kicks in, and I think the millennials are the first generation to witness that their generation was completely different than their kids' generation. They understand that the environment will dictate what do you feel motivated to do. And what is in fact the best option.
Yeah, I was just looking for a specific lock, but I guess I got this piggy bank. But I was just watching the fucking lock picking lawyer, and I was just trying to find like the thinnest shit in my room, bro. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you know, we're in 2022.
Let me get a clip.
Yeah, we're in 2022, and I like, there's no fucking paper clips in this house. Like, what the fuck's going on here? Like,
well, we're in 2023 now.
Yeah.
Got you there.
But I was just saying, like, in terms of like, you know, so I was like, does a dart work? Like, and then you just see me just fucking, you know, like, bro, I don't know what happened to me in that phase, but fuck.
Yeah, but that happens. I mean, that's when people talk about trend making. I mean, that can happen. That's why you see so many people who I don't have that resilience. There's a lot of people that have that resilience. I don't, where they just publish the shittiest videos when it comes to topic. Like this guy just picking locks. I'm pretty sure he went through like 2 years, 3 years of no one giving a fuck. But now you see him, he has like what, 2 million views, 1 million views of subscribers, something like that.
Bro,
like this man is making it. And again, if you do have the resilience and have the patience to know that you're gonna have to do something that costs a lot in terms of effort and time, and there's no guarantees, I think it's a mathematical impossibility for you to fail. At some point it's gonna happen. It may take 2, 3, 5 years, but I'm pretty sure if people try enough, that's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. You're just gonna have to find the right time. You know, for example, on YouTube, I really give a fuck about the time that I publish. Why? Because, and even though YouTube tells you that it doesn't, like my top 10 videos, all of them were uploaded on Fridays. Because these little things that you learn along the way is actually what makes you succeed. And people need to understand when your video, for example, has 50 views, it doesn't mean that people didn't give a shit about it. It's just that YouTube didn't publish it. Sometimes your effort and your talent is so great that it's still being undervalued. But at some point, when you do have a backlog and you show people enough evidence that you have what they think it's very valuable, then you're gonna succeed. But it might take like 2, 3, 5 years. That's the problem that a lot of people have into getting into artistic outputs or starting YouTube. There's no guarantees.
There's a fact out here. Well, I take fact with a grain of salt, all right? But there's just, I guess, a very philosophical way of thinking. It takes about, on average, 10 years for overnight success to happen. I have said this before, and I've learned this before, in this community. Things just fucking happen for a reason. It is your job to be able to sustain whatever happens. And I see, for example, you, Silvartop, getting into your background. I was recommended all of your, coverage videos of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp and all that shit going on. And from what I saw in the moment, I feel like you sustained that very well. And it kind of, gave me a little bit of an echo because, from an inspirational standpoint, I feel like I've been given a sort of an echo from when it was my job to be able to sustain something that happened with my channel, for example, and it just popped off out of nowhere. And it was my job to be like, all right, well, I have to be able to sustain this. This is beautiful. It does seem too good to be true. I don't know, maybe you've experienced this with your own content. Maybe the result of a video is too good to be true, and you just want to be able to do everything possible to, sustain that.
It. And it's a huge fucking pressure. Yeah, I've been there.
It's huge. And it's for content, especially in a niche that for me, this was a niche that I was never meant to be the viral, and you know what I mean. I just wish I did something goofy with music, because then I would have been able to translate that quite easily. I know how to sell people ideas, but it's hard when people are reaction viewers. If you've done reaction videos before, you know that people who view reaction videos, they don't really have that great of an attention span, and they only focus on the thing that you're reacting to.
And it's gonna happen mostly you can see through analytics with unique viewers that obviously the viewers that I got with Amber Heard that amounted to millions, they never came back. But it's a question that you have to ask yourself: do I really want to sustain? Because it's great when and I feel like there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, you're just taking advantage of a cash cow or whatever the fuck," and I don't think that's what it is. I think that when you find something that works, it'll be completely stupid for you to ruin that chance and just not seize the opportunity. So do as much as you can, and that's why I did so many videos. And it was a grind, because I got home, saw the fucking video, the trial before, and those trials were each session was 6 hours. It was crazy. I would have to review all of it and edit a little bit and clip it in the right way and even upload it and find a good thumbnail, which is usually the hardest part, actually. All of this, it was time consuming, and I was getting burned out. I wanted the fucking trial to end because it was so time consuming. But I understood from the very first moment that, okay, I'm going to make a lot with this, but at some point this is going to fall off, because I knew it was outside of my area of expertise. And like you said, I wish that I could predict the videos that go viral, because I could put a little bit of what I truly like into my videos. But I just think I got comfortable with the understanding that people will watch certain content just because of the content, not really because of you. You look at big YouTubers today, it's very easy to look at, Charlie or Penguin Z, as it's called on YouTube, with 6 million, whatever the fuck, with all these million, every time he uploads is a video of 1.5 million. But you have to consider this guy has been on the platform for 10. So there was a lot of time for him to show people what he was what he was about. But even him, the most famous videos that he has are videos that people don't really give a shit about what he has to say, but rather what he was showing. And I think on YouTube, the very first lesson that you get, the major one, is that you need to understand, be comfortable with knowing that some people will just watch it for the content, not really you.
Yeah.
But usually that's how you start. That's how, like a snowball. You show people that you can edit videos and pick up the right stuff. And at some point, they're going to fall in love with your personality. And when that happens, which hasn't happened with me yet, but when that happens, you'll have a very loyal fan base.
Yeah. I think it's... go ahead, Jelani.
This is what I want to say, and this is kind of a philosophy that I've lived under, is that slow growth is much more meaningful than fast growth.
Absolutely.
And this could apply to life in general. Is that I feel like people try to live way too fast, and the phrase "life's too short" and everything. However, if you really think about it, the average lifespan is 80 years. And there's a whole lot you can do in those 80 years. So I feel like if you do things way too quickly, you try and do things all at once, then things are gonna fail because you're not experiencing it. You're not going through the journey. You're just there for the destination. The journey is way more important than the destination itself.
Yeah, I catch myself in that, and I know, like, absolutely that I'm 23. That's still young. But I think people will always feel... I guess it really depends on your psychological, state. But I always fall into the pit of thinking, the self-doubt, like, I'm 23, maybe I'm just already too old for YouTube. That's not the reality, man. There's people out there with 45 years of age or something like that doing kick-ass videos, and they started when they were 43 or something, or 40. I think that we do try to live too fast. And unfortunately, that's something that I picked up maybe from the younger generation or whatever it was. But I think as soon as someone learns to cool off, cool down and slow down and take, like you said, life as a path, not a destination, that's when you start doing your best fucking work. And at some point that will happen. And I can't wait for that, but that's the thing. I can't be impatient. I just got to do stuff day by day. But yeah, that's definitely a hole that people get into, especially our generation.
Bro, what's crazy is that I'm thinking about, when we're talking about fast growth, I'm thinking about the people, bro. I found out there was a completely new universe, and these are people coming out from freaking Twitter and shit. There's a completely new universe of people who just experiment with niches. And I know it's possible on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, where short form content is literally the main thing in the social network. But YouTube is so interesting that everything that they've learned about short form content on TikTok and Instagram and everything, this is sort of like related to what you guys just were talking about. This fast growth thing obviously doesn't translate to an audience, but for someone who wants to make money to put it back into the business, bro, this is fucking like unreal, because we've seen it work with other social media platforms, but in recent years, not with YouTube. Shorts has helped and contributed to making this possible, but with other, even with long form content, I'm seeing people who are just, like young as shit, or I'm talking like 14, 15, who are literally just experimenting with theme pages and niches and stupid shit like that, right? We're doing like dog and cat videos and shit and just putting on like shorts and subtitles and then call it a day, 3 times a week, upload, and they would get 1 million views hourly. But they would never put their personality on the channel or anything like that. And they have about 5 channels that do that, or 10 channels, or
that's what you call automated channels.
Yeah, they're automated channels, but they document everything, and they're just kids. I swear they're just kids. I found one that was literally on Twitter going like, yo, I'm making more money than I thought I would. Should I just like stop school? Like some kid who literally has no idea. I'm not talking about, you know, somebody trying to sell a course like one of those 30-day programs. Fucking kids, people like younger than us, man. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, do people just accidentally fall like into this like trap of like niches? Because somebody who doesn't experiment on these, like me with reactions, I guess Silvartop with certain trending topics that don't maybe align with your personality, you know, just or with your with yourself, you know, on the platform, or, you know, for example, with Jelani, you know, Doc being on the stream, for example, do people just like randomly fall into that trap or that hole? Like, I don't know. It's weird. Maybe fast growth is just a dangerous thing for people who have no idea how the platform works.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't wish this on anyone, of course, but when you see YouTubers who take an immense fucking size, like Dream, for example, that focus mostly on Minecraft, you can't help but feel like, is he gonna be like a Sky Does Minecraft, which it was a guy that for 5 years or 3 years, not even that maybe, did a lot of success on Minecraft. It was amazing, but as soon as he like took a break, his fucking channel got destroyed. Obviously, if he had a personality like, you know, look at PewDiePie that has been doing for 10 years. Even if he changes all these formats, he's gonna have a secure presence on the internet. This guy got deleted in terms of like presence in about a month. When that happens, you have to question how much do you want this success, because sometimes there's no going back. Once people understand that you are someone who was on the top and then hit bottom, you're not going to bounce back from that. So people need to understand that most of the times, for example, like I said, all those millions of views, I still have like 25,000 subscribers. I'm not a big YouTuber. I still didn't reach that point. But I would easily trade all these millions of views for an exponential growth that would obviously motivate me to even become better.
Yeah.
But when usually that goes up and down and that success is very like rapid, all this endorphin that you get, it's great, but it makes you think that that's going to last forever, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
I remember when the GTA 5 videos clicked off, you know, they were starting to blow up. I was already, you know, making math in my mind as a fucking 19-year-old or whatever the fuck it was, thinking, oh, I only need to pull 3 million views a month to make this sustainable, and I couldn't make that sustainable. But it is an illusion that a lot of kids, for example, as you said, especially in the younger ages, that they get this illusion that if they drop school and they dedicate to that, it's going to last 10 years, which isn't. But it is a deadly, I guess, a little booby trap for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with, let me look at your most popular videos. I'm gonna do that on my phone. I'm gonna look at,
I can tell if you want.
no,
No.
yeah, I'd rather just have like the visual. Okay, all right. Well, your most viewed video on YouTube is the moment Amber Heard lost. You know that just happened. I'm looking at your 10 most viewed videos. You know, some were the GTA 5, some were the Amber Heard, some were others. Fresh and Fit, EDP. From what I can tell, I believe you have, I guess you can tell me if I'm overestimating you or something like that. I feel like you have the knowledge, after being on YouTube for, you know, this long, you have the knowledge to go out and just make a video that gets 1 million views, right? But obviously, but obviously that doesn't translate to an audience, and you're well aware of that.
Because I could tell you this. It is not to brag, because this is something that I honestly believe is somewhat. As long as someone doesn't need shit for breakfast and can count, they can do this. Which is to start a YouTube channel. You don't put your face on it. Don't put your voice. I could start a YouTube channel today. In about 6 months, I could at least get 5,000 subscribers, but amount to 300, 400,000 views. Because views are not a problem on YouTube. Growing on YouTube is actually easy.
Yeah.
The problem is growing YouTube or your online presence the way that you want it to grow. That's the really bad part, or the really complicated, tricky part.
Yeah.
Is convincing people that even if you do things differently, it is still watchable. Because right now, if you don't fall into the, I don't know if you know this, but all these videos that have a title of something downfall, they're everywhere, and most of them are automated channels. Are people who don't even touch the fucking thing. They create a channel, they send it to 5R. They write a script, maybe they send it to 5R so someone can voice over. They hire an editor for like all of this, maybe 100, and they get 200 back from the video, and they keep recycling and doing this shit over and over. Being successful on YouTube is fairly, from the knowledge that I gather with analytics alone, I could make a channel today that could amount to 300,000 views in about 3 months, something like that.
Yeah.
But that is not going to be something that is going to be destined for my main channel, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
My most recent videos, they have nothing to do with trends other than Andrew Tate. But if you can see the most recently uploaded, you can see that Andrew Tate got like 400 views. In that time span, I got even more with Red Dead Redemption, and that was like an original video. So I think there is some sort of like satisfaction in knowing that slow growth is way better in terms of like long time success. But so you would be right. The knowledge that you gather from failing and succeeding, you could make a channel that could blow up tomorrow. But that is not the tricky part. The tricky part is making your personality on the internet known.
Let me put it this way, I guess, for people who are going to be watching this podcast eventually, or people who are watching right now, or even you guys right here. Now, there's a difference, and a huge one, as you go on with content creation. There is a huge difference between generating numbers and a positive cash flow. Because look, it doesn't matter where you get those views. Those views happen. Depends where, your people are actually based geographically, right? CPM can be a blessing. You could reach like 1,000 viewers from Australia, and suddenly that brings you like $300. Some shit like that. Doesn't matter where those views come from. They are there. They are on your channel. They are genuine. There's a difference between, generating views and a positive cash flow. And it works, all right? But there's a difference between that and a difference between developing your personality and your image and your image on YouTube. It is much harder to build a personality, build a community, and build an army, or mostly an empire. It's much harder to build an empire of people who are ready for, the next, content, rather than just, it's not even like a sellout thing, and it might be, a case of like just selling souls, or it might just be a case of this guy just knows his shit and he can just make a quick, positive, cash flow in 90 days. Yeah. It's something I'm experimenting with reactions. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't intend anything from my reaction video other than capital. I will be honest and straightforward with this.
That's absolutely fine,
Yeah. But the thing is,
because you do need to fund the way that you develop personality either way, because you need the money. I wouldn't, if I said that, I love doing YouTube, and even if a video that I release doesn't make any dollars at all, I don't think I could still keep doing YouTube for 3 years straight if I couldn't make at least a fucking 10 or 20 bucks on a video. You need that as a motivation. It's not a sellout thing. It's a motivation, and obviously understanding that, holy shit, YouTube really does appreciate what I do. You need that. So if you can have a video series where you're gonna get paid a lot, that's great. And then you find yourself in a format that sometimes you upload and you're not gonna get a lot of views, but the other videos that you upload are gonna supply you with the funding. I think that's fine, because even Mudahar, for example, Some Ordinary Gamers, the guy is very genuine. But even himself says, there's going to be videos that I release to make money. There's going to be videos that I release because I genuinely love this shit. And sometimes he will upload a 40-minute video about some virus investigation. That's going to happen.
maybe
That's not a sellout thing.
Yeah, maybe the biggest mistake that I have made with the Loopy channel is that I've mixed business with pleasure. And I've convinced myself that my passions turned into a business. Now, maybe it is a dangerous thing, as a beginner content creator who, for example, it's his first day as a YouTube partner. It is probably a very dangerous and unhealthy thing to want to monetize your personality over the content that you actually, want to like make. I make money from music. I make money from, I guess, the fucking 2 or 3 streams on Spotify podcasts or Apple podcasts and, whatever. I guess the most monetizable thing, when it comes to content creation is just videos that they're probably going to gain the most traction, but they're probably not going to be the content that you want to post the most, but it might need for funding projects. I want to fund for advertising the Loophole Podcast because I'm not looking at the viewer count. I really don't give a shit but I don't give a shit about the count of how many people are watching the podcast right now. It's probably 2 if I check, okay? And I'm not surprised about it. Jelani's not surprised about it. We're having this wonderful conversation right now, and this is something to remember. I think it's something to remember. I think that having spoken here on this podcast, it's something, valuable for us, and it's valuable for people who might just stumble upon this podcast. So I'm not just in it for the money. I just want to make money so that I can put it back into the business and put it back into projects I enjoy, such as the Loophole Podcast, such as my clothing brand, which, is big for mental health awareness. I just want to be able to, promote a message, and obviously promoting promoting music, because look, being a musician, being a rapper in this fucking generation or whatever, it's just not enough. All right, you have to, have a personality out there, and I'm, with all of these niches, I guess, that I'm doing at the moment, I'm just here for the empire business. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like Walter. I'm here for the empire business, not the money business, not the product business. I'm here for, I just want to build an empire. And it's not like, a clan of, people like fucking cringe 2016 videos. I just want to build an army of people where it's like, just use the following and use such a explosive community to spread the word about a message or a cause, and not turning into some of these corporate fucks that are on YouTube. So yeah, it's definitely exciting, and if people approach it that way, I think healthier content can be put on this platform.
Yeah, as long as you have that ethical line and you know it. I think, because making money is, sometimes it's a sacrifice, but that doesn't mean that you're jumping into something unethical. Sometimes it's just changing the mere content that you make. That doesn't make you a sellout immediately. But now people who see something working and they give up completely on their passion, on their free time, everything, because they saw, a bigger buck in somewhere else, that's where you're going to start having some issues in your life. Your personality presence is going to diminish because people know you're in for the money. And the YouTube bot will always love money. They will always love the numbers, but it's the people that keep on watching you when the shit hits the fan. Even if you start making videos that no one gives a shit about, or the bot doesn't give a shit about, you need to rely on those people that honestly like you to make a video blow up, because there's a lot of content creators that do absolutely shit topics and honestly shit videos, but they are so entertaining in the way they do it, and it's just because it's them, they're gonna get a lot of success.
Well, look, I guess I've gathered enough knowledge on YouTube I know how to create a channel and make my first 1,000 subscribers in give or take a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Partner program, I predict that my second channel, I predict March 31st will be the maximum time frame for that channel to hit the YouTube partner program. And with watch hours come with already existing views and, in the background, revenue already generated. When you get into the partner program, it doesn't matter, just how you get in there or whatever, the views, the watch hours, they all add up. To get 4,000 watch hours within the year, because it's not just in total, it's within the year, you have to already have some amount of views. The moment you get into that freaking partner program, bro, I don't know if you've seen this for yourself, Silvartop, like when you got into the partner program, or if you did, or I don't know if you did, but you might have. But for me, I saw a 3-figure number the moment that I got into the partner program, and it was generating in the background. And bro, and the CPM in certain countries at some point it pops off, and for me, like after seeing that, like a 3-figure number on the revenue thing based on doing reactions, to me, going back to what you said, I could not fathom myself just giving up music, giving up clothing, giving up my podcast just to focus on reactions, right? I knew to myself, okay, well, I went fucking viral in a country. Like, I'm, very well known in Indonesia or Malaysia or Philippines. I didn't ask to be known there, but it's lovely. I love everybody from every country. I happen to have a very good, Southeast Asian demographic, but I love it. I learn more about their culture. It's amazing. But at the same time, like, you got to be able to play your cards right, because a lot of reason why these bigger YouTubers, especially from like the OG 2013 Minecraft days, a lot of them just went to Fortnite because Fortnite made the bigger buck. Now Fortnite, like, we're on chapter 4 and shit like that. Nobody's keeping up with the seasons. It's dead, right? Like, it can still be like, the most played game of all time, but it's going to be dead because the content is oversaturated. And like, it's why I couldn't see myself just giving up, my passions. Like you said, this is great. This conversation is fucking amazing, bro. But I couldn't see myself like giving up just, what I fucking built, what I live for and shit like that, just to do, reaction videos to fucking Indonesian guitarists or whatever. And I imagine it's the same for you, when you're going viral for a specific trending topic. You're not going to give up everything just to be I knew you weren't going to give up everything, just to be an expert on fucking, libel trials and defamation cases. Yeah. I mean, I would watch the hell out of that, but I know that's not what you want to do, from heart. But yeah, being like, having invited you to this podcast to get to know more about you and your background as a content creator kind of makes me feel better about just everything that's been going on in the past, couple of years. And I hope, same applies for Jelani, for his content. I feel like it's great, and I probably have taken a lot of things for granted, but thank you, bro, for being on here, speaking your mind and your piece, on content creation, because it's definitely interesting and very, very insightful. So
sometimes people need that, like I always wanted what you have, for example, which is the ability to contact, for example, certain content creators. They know, listen, I'm doing shit for 3 months in a row. Is this bad? Is this good? Because sometimes we don't realize those YouTubers had that phase. And it's really hard to see that from the outside when you don't have analytics. You don't see the start and the background of that person's life. And sometimes you wonder if my YouTube is already dead before it even starts. And the reality is, most of the times, 99% of times, it's not. As long as you're not an asshole, you don't have. You can even be an asshole. I mean, you look at Andrew Tate; he gets all that, those follows. Even that can happen. But as long as you have that personality, or you stay true to what you want, I think that you can work out YouTube or anything. You're rapping, for example, whatever it is. When it comes to personal projects, it can work out. But sometimes you do need that boost of understanding, is this the right thing? Is this what to expect? Me having a slower pace, is this okay? Or should I change something? Sometimes you do need to change things, but not change yourself.
Yeah.
And, I think it works out a lot when new content creators have an approach or an easy access to talk with other people to find out what is their next move or what they are doing currently. Is it the right stuff? Because sometimes, you just need a little bit of push into the right direction, and you're unlocking doors to your future.
Of course.
When I see YouTubers, obviously, when you look at a YouTuber that has 1 million subscribers, I mean, you don't really think of contacting them, but you need to understand, like, what the fuck do I have to lose? And you just do it. And as long as people do that, I think they're going to really boost their success by just knowing what other people's go through and acquiring knowledge every time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, I see it this way. We're like, you and me, we're both creators of a similar size on YouTube, and we have, I believe, I mean, obviously there's a huge, difference. I've never even hit 100K on a video before. Like the most I ever got was like 40K on a video, but I guess it succeeded because that's how reaction content works. It's, it's just how it works. We're creators of a similar size who, I guess, have experienced growth in a similar way before, and both have an understanding of sustainability, but at the same time, it teaches you how to take advantage of a situation. And it's perfect for short form or for temporary, temporary gain or growth. It's definitely wonderful, but it's never going to be something where you can just make that your personality, unless your passion is just to react to shit or whatever. You can't make these little niches that you can just easily gain from your personality, especially coming from your background. And I'm inspired by that kind of mindset, which is why I felt very like my attention was grabbed very quickly when I saw these videos in my recommended, because I sort of saw, I guess, the same kind of experience, and I was like, like, bro, I just kind of like want to stick around, because I may be a rare case, but I continue to see the personality within the video. Like, I don't know, just you had such like a unique style to just like covering fucking something serious. You were just memeing absolutely everything, giving zero fucks, and it was like, bro.
Yeah. I think that's the easiest way. Like, developing a character is hard, but when you do not give a fuck, I think that's when you have the most fun. Like, obviously, having a good personality, you're not going to step too far and, hurt people on purpose. But when you consider like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, the shit show that the whole trial was in the terms of the memeful way that you could just create content, you look at that, look at an opportunity. And my personality, even though I don't really like trials and watch them, libel cases and whatever, I saw that and said, you know what, this is fucking me right here. And I just, contribute a little bit of my personality into a content that I know people are just going to watch just because Amber Heard is there and, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Because, I had a series of videos as well that was, people were searching for that, but I think it was my most unique, or when I say most unique, what I mean is where my personality remained intact the most was with the Fresh and Fit. If you look at the Fresh and Fit videos, I mean, sure, these two bozos were doing shit that people were, it created a spotlight onto them. But the whole video was me just spewing my opinion left and right. There was there was not a lot of B-roll where you could see Fresh and Fit. It was just me talking. And when I saw those views, I mean, I understood that there was a lot of people watching my videos. I made a video that had nothing to do with these two guys, but it was immediately after Fresh and Fit, and I got 33,000 views, which is not 100,000, but it was the first series that made people understand who I was, and I still have a lot of followers that come from that.
Retention.
So, when you look at that, when you look at that retention, you understand that you're on the right path. Even if you do take these little niches that get paid a lot, you put a little personality, you mix a little bit of two worlds, getting paid and doing what you want, and you're gonna be, it's gonna be a label for it.
It's great. It's definitely great, and hearing this, bro, like, definitely feel like this conversation has given me the ability to adopt a new mindset. It's definitely wonderful. I've already adopted the mindset. I tweeted out, I was like, listen to me, you fucks. Okay, no, I wasn't like that, but
listen, you're motivational.
Yeah, listen to me, all of you. I am done with the yes energy. All right. Now I accept, the idea of surrounding yourself with a positive and supportive, support system. But I need people to tell me when I'm doing shit. You know what I mean? And it's not just like, oh yeah, tell me if it's bad, then it's bad. No, I'm just saying, like, it has to be just completely impromptu. If I am doing terrible, I need people to tell me I'm doing terrible. And I'm going to be that person for Jelani. I'm going to be that person for you. I mean, you're definitely a dope human being, bro. I don't think this is going to be the last time I'm going to bring you on this podcast. It's just like, if you want to stay in this community and just talk about more and more shit, bro, every single Saturday, we do this shit. All right. And I'm going to be, that person. Like, for example, if you're going to do something that's shit, right, I'm going to tell you if it's shit or not. And obviously I'm going to back it up, and you get to fucking form your opinion. You can also tell me to shut up, and I'll be like, all right, fuck. But I want to be that person for everyone around me. I'm seeing my girl commented, all your discography is shit, delete it, start over again. But
what I will say is you're probably going to get a lot more responses if people are able to be more anonymous. Now, I've done this anonymous Q&A thing on my Instagram for people to tell me about how the show is going and everything. It's been a mix of very positive and very negative. However, the thing I like the most is that people are able to say what they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's a difference. There's a difference between, I guess, like, the very positive and very negative feedback from people who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
The people who can't
you see a lot
back
of
up.
people, a lot of people talking about, like, oh, your microphone sounds like shit, but then you have other people saying, oh, your music's too loud. Then what the fuck do you want? What's the balance here? And you do need to filter out negative comments. But I feel like what Jelani said is on point. Like, if you give if you make people anonymous, they can be honestly brutal. Now, obviously, they need to back it up, because you're going to see a lot of morons that say your videos are shit, and you ask why, and they don't even respond. I had a huge streak of, like, when I was trying premieres, that whole thing of putting on YouTube, and it goes live at some point. There was a lot of people that the video didn't fucking upload, and they were already disliking the video. So you need to understand that there's going to be those little fucking idiots in your mix, but I do think that when you do hear opinions, the ones that are the most extreme will help you the most.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Bro, I mean, I've had cases, and I think the best thing to do would be to reach out to people who know their shit. I'll be honest with you. You need a support system, but not only that, you need a system of people who know their shit. Yeah. All right. it's one thing to have people around you who are basically kind of just like the active or average listener slash viewer. But I'm not saying like get yourself some experts, but wouldn't hurt either, but get yourself some people who are switched on. You know what I mean? You need people around you who have gathered knowledge based off, something, and have been able to, radiate, similar energy. I've had, somebody in, my space who has inspired me in my music journey to improve with my music, and he rated one of my best songs that I've ever made a 5.5 out of 10, and said, the beat carried, and you did shit in this, the mixing lacks knowledge and shit like that. And that's somebody who has inspired me in my journey, for example, telling me that I'm shit at what I do, but the concept is there. And that's feedback that you could just appreciate. For example, Jelani, if I was to tell you, things about your episode that I think, because Silvartop's already brought it up, that people have a very short attention span. All right. Yep. For example, if I saw that you did something where you're not able to keep people's, attention and keep people, going, during the live, I'm going to be able to, I'm going to tell you. And same thing with Silvartop, all right? Like if I see, just a video where you're just, not, going around and just saying some meaningful opinions and comments and shit like that, and that the video did not hold that much value, I'm going to be there to, give that feedback. And it's great to have this support system, but also make sure that the support that you get is not a result of just simple yes energy. And that's what I'm in the empire business for. I think it's very important. We're all creators just trying to do our things, but we have to know at some point when we're flopping, because we could be doing something right that we think could still be right in the next 2 or 3 years, but could be the absolute wrong thing to do. For example, Silvartop with his commentary videos, I think you're doing something right. I think you're, managing to keep people's attention span. Is that something that's going to work in the next 5 years? That's something for you to either decide or to experiment with. If you're not able to keep people interested, that means your method is outdated. But people need to be there to tell you if that's the case. Just like people need to be there to tell Jelani if that's the case. Just like people need to be there for me to tell me if that's the case. You can be your worst critic, but you could also be highly oblivious to a lot of facts. And I think a lot of us are very desperate for a reality check. But it could even be to people who, have been doing things right. People just need reality checks. People need more feedback. It's like a new world or a new level in a game, all right? Or a new area you've never explored before. Something is going to happen in a timeline standpoint that's going to make our methods of keeping people interested completely shit, complete garbage.
Yeah. Though I do have one question though, and I've gotten this a lot on my anonymous Q&As and everything, is that some people will say that they want the old me back when it comes to content creation and everything. What would you say if someone told you that they wanted the old you back?
Well, listen, from what I saw in your stories, because I check out your stories, just to see what you got going on, and this is my personal feedback. That is just one person out of 1,000 people that follow you, all right, or out of maybe 10 or 20 or 30 people who actually went out of their way to post, an anonymous message.
Yeah.
you cannot fucking cater to everybody, all right? And people are going to want you to change for them, to change to satisfy their needs. But it comes to a point where it's like, if you do not appreciate me at my current level, then what the fuck are you doing? Like, just like, I don't need that kind of energy, for example, to progress. There was a time on YouTube where I was going through something similar. All right, and it was at a point where, you know, the reactions were popping off, and I was just, you know, doing my thing. I distanced myself from a few people who, to this day, would have made my life hell. And those were people that I just hung around with, that I were just, you know, I was just friends with, I was just actually chill with. And they're dope human beings, but they would have made my life hell. And if you cannot appreciate that as a viewer, then I do not need you. You know what I mean? And I do not need that kind of energy and that kind of attitude in order to progress. It's just so stupid, the whole idea of like, I want the old, you know, this back. It's like, well, if you want the old this back, then just go watch the videos, you know, where I was actually being the old whatever you want.
Yeah.
And most of the time, bro, it's just people who wanted you to be a weaker version of yourself, a much more vulnerable version of yourself. Why? Because they want to take advantage of you. They want to take advantage of a weak, vulnerable individual who did not have a lot of knowledge getting into this space, and they just want to pick you apart. Nothing wrong with being picked apart, but I'd rather be picked apart by the right kind of people, not just people who want to take advantage of a weak, vegetable individual. I don't know, that's probably not the best way to describe it, but so yeah, I mean, the only way I can respond to, oh, I want the old Jelani back, is go suck a dick, because that's seriously not valuable feedback. It's just like, you know, I want, you know, I liked KSI 10 years ago. I still like him now.
Yeah.
You know?
And especially when there's people who say, you know, this is wrong. Okay, why is it wrong? And they don't, and even if they back up, you see that they are struggling to find words to even describe, because they don't actually believe it. There's a lot of people who are just prone to negativity. And that's the first thing that you'll see when you blow up. Like my videos that had, especially on GTA 5, since there's a lot of kids. But when my videos blew up, and the videos with 1 million, there was a lot of people saying, oh, this shit is not funny. But you look at the analytics, you see the people that watched, you see the hours that were watched and the percentage. People were fucking loving the video. So you can't base yourself on all negative comments, because you need to understand that human nature, for the most part, will always follow the negative shit. You see the news, it's negative. You see YouTube, it's fucking negative. Everything is negative because it usually sells, and people just love it for some reason.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
you know, don't stress too much about opinion of 1 or 10 people out of fucking millions, because, you know, there's always someone who thinks differently.
Yeah, of course. And I think people who just say, you know, oh, I liked that better, you know, as opposed to something else, and then they wouldn't really tell you why.
Yeah. People don't really fucking know what they want most of the times.
It's kind of like the case, Jelani, I'm sorry, bro, but I'm gonna put you on blast with one thing. All right, you did a poll. It was, should the Jelani Muna show be, you know, short form, 20 minutes with, you know, 3-minute guest time per, you know, person on IG Live, or 40 minutes with 8 minutes guest time on IG Live? And when that first started, when you first did that vote, or when you first did that poll, it was almost a landslide victory for the longer form content. And then you do anonymous Q&As, and then it's like, I wanted the short form content better. But no one actually said why. No one really gave, you know, valuable opinions. And then you did a poll on a third-party website. And I was thinking to myself, was that Google? Was that like...
Well, there was two. The last one I used Google, but the first one I used was any anonymous poll that I could have found on the internet. But let me say why I use the anonymous one, because when you look at the first poll where I was able to see the names, sure, it showed a landslide. However, not too many people participated in the vote at all. Like, I think it was only
Yeah.
just a couple of people. I think like probably less than five. And when it's like less than five, but people are voting, it's going to show a percentage. It's still going to show the landslide, even though there's not too many people voting. So this is why I thought that if I were to make it more anonymous, that people would participate more in the votes, because I was thinking, if I were to see the names, then maybe no, they would be too shy, or anything like that. So I thought I
Yeah.
was wanting to go with the anonymous, and also the fact is that I had a feeling, with the anonymous Q&As and how that went, I had a feeling it was going to go that way, only because the fact is that some people just don't like long form content. It's weird like that, and that's why, like, when I was talking to you about how you wanted me to do the longer form episodes, I was saying that I would like to do it, but people are going to complain about it because it's a change that they're not used to, everything like that.
Yeah.
So it was
Well,
confusing.
I get it. So, if I just put it this way, this is, again, just my feedback. This is just my brutal honesty kicking in, all right?
Yeah.
All right, let's say 46 people view your story. Wow. All right. In that story contains a poll where only 20 people vote in. Most of the polls, or most of the results in that poll, is in the favor of something cool. You know who voted, but at the same time, it doesn't matter if you know who voted. It matters if you are able to verify the integrity of a vote. There's a reason why, when you vote in elections, you got to put your name in there, because they got to verify if that shit's, coming from real people, or if that's just coming from John and Jane Does and shit. With the third party shit, I could just very well create a different, Google account, or for that third party app, the anonymous thing, VPNs, you know what I mean? With Instagram polls, you're very well, easily able to see if that's somebody's alt account. So a lot of people are going to view your stories. They're going to choose not to vote. Just like in elections, how they vote blank, they vote white. They just don't want to contribute, whatever. But you can't be responsible for all of the people that view your stories and for the people who choose to vote or not. It's like I did, Twitter polls and YouTube polls yesterday, determining whether or not I should come back to, reaction content and do it in a, different brand name. I had like 200 views in the tweet, which, I mean, the view count on the tweets is, very inflated. We know that already, but I'm not responsible, for example, if those are 200 unique viewers and only 12 people voted. I'm not responsible for that amount of people, you know what I mean? It's just, it's best to do it like on a, I guess, a loyal platform such as your main platform, where the integrity of the votes can at least be, verified, and people actually know, like, I don't
Who
know.
you are.
Yeah.
You know what the best way to do polls? Do 3 videos of each, and then you'll get your answers. You look at the analytics and you see if
Yeah.
the long form did in fact retain people's attention, or the short form got a lot of more views, for example. I
Yeah.
think most of the ways people will say, oh, you organize a live for tomorrow at 9 p.m. and people will be like, I'll be there, and they won't be there. And there's a lot of situations where people are gonna do
Yeah.
that shit. And
Yeah.
it's not that you should have a distrust with your viewers, but you need to understand that most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, even with
They
their
don't
own
know what they
intentions.
want. They don't know
They don't know what
they
they
want.
want.
They have
So
short attention spans. Think as a consumer, all right? There's, like, we consume content. Sometimes we consume more than we wish we would consume. we would rather, create more than consume. But have you ever thought, like a consumer, from an outside perspective, because, there are people who consume content who don't, care to know, or who don't even know or have a clue why they're attracted to a video, right? A lot of people, you're going to ask them, why are you attracted to this specific video? What did it for you? Not a lot of people can really give a valid answer. It's all just psychology at the end of the day. Jelani, if you are able, for example, or you, Silvartop, if you're able to meet the people's expectations when, they see a thumbnail, when they see a title, when they see a description or whatever, they, search up something on YouTube and you pop up first, with keywords and things like that, you have to be able to meet people's expectations instantly. Mm-hmm. And for longer form content, it's difficult. For the Loophole Podcast, for example, it's difficult. But people just want, people indirectly are more attracted when things just get flashy at the beginning. You know what I mean? When expectations are met.
You got a hook.
Yeah. Yeah, a hook. It's definitely a hook because you got to meet these people's expectations. You can't just make the video, start from the beginning. No, you got to be like, oh yeah, using, for example, the example of Mr. Beast. Yeah, you can really tell by the type of content that I binge watch, but you can tell by Mr. Beast. He put 100 million Orbeez in his friend's backyard. The thumbnail and the title of the video describe it properly. What are the first 5 seconds of the videos? Or no, what are the first 5 seconds of the video? Yeah, already being like, yo, we're doing this. But then they're adding more to the content because you can you can meet the person's expectations and they would be like, nice. But exceeding those expectations is like, yo, holy shit. My expectations were met, for example, when I watched Silvartop's video. I was like, okay, my expectations were met because this is a coverage of just some random dude that I found in my recommended looking at, this trending topic. But something about the videos that I've watched made it just exceeded my expectations because I felt like I was, I don't know, I just felt like I was just in the same call as him, just watching the video. I don't know, the composure, for example, just him standing and just holding his mic and just, walking around his room and just being like, oh my God, what a fucking idiot and shit like that. That shit to me, it sold it for me. I thought that shit was hilarious. But then again, I'm not going to be like a dick about it and just be like, what? He's sitting down for a video? Unsubscribe. No, but I don't know, just the standing up content of just him just holding the mic and just being like, yo, this is fucking stupid. And I don't know, my expectations were exceeded, and that's just an example. So for you, Jelani, it doesn't really matter the duration. Obviously, you gotta find a balance, really. You gotta be able to,
for example, I'm currently working on a project. As of right now, this video is 18 minutes long. Yeah. Which on internet perspective, that's fucking 5,000 years. But the very first thing that I made sure, and this is one of the things that you learn when you get those big videos, the very first standard that you pick is a really good thumbnail, title, and obviously the first 15 seconds even.
Yeah.
And these things, I've learned that they take, I'm not going to say 60%, but 40, which is already a huge percentage of the time that I spend in my project. So, for example, in the case of a podcast, of course, 60, even 80% is going to be you talking with guests and organizing the guests and all that. But I don't know if you can, in a certain way, sort of way, get something that hooks people in the first 15 seconds, or as soon as they log in, and you have a structure where it starts very slow. It starts really big in the beginning, it's explosive, but then you start escalating the tension it's like the movies. It's gonna work out very beautifully. But it really depends on what kind of format you're doing. But if you want to do the long one, do a little bit mixture. And usually the videos that work the best are the ones that have a hook in the beginning, which is something that happens maybe after. Something simple. You just grab that shit, black and white, something like that, put it in the beginning, and then you start low again, and you escalate until that point hits. And these little things sometimes, like I said, just because you got 50 views on the video doesn't mean that people didn't like it. It just means that it didn't reach a lot of people. And reaching a lot of people will always be determined on thumbnail and title.
But you also got to like replace algorithm with audience. It's never really like, oh, the algorithm didn't like that video or didn't like that stream or didn't like the show or whatever. The audience just wasn't attracted, by the content. And it's difficult to do that for streams. It's fucking hard unless you got a team of people that you can hire for a podcast and shit like that, get social media managers and editors for clips and things like that. That shit's fucking difficult. That's what I'm going to be using a lot of my money towards, so that I can also make the separation of the Loophole Podcast and hopefully branch out a lot more. I'm at a stage in my career where I cannot do that until I get some capital. Same with my clothing brand, same with my music. There's, the channel or the platform or whatever is mostly the umbrella. You know what I mean? It's the umbrella. But for creating content, it's what you choose to, it's what you choose to add, like, I guess, keep under your umbrella. And if you're able to properly, like, attract people with the type of content that you're creating, then you can make that shit rain. But for your, like, IG live shows, because so his content, Silvartop, so I can give you a bit more context. So he does IG lives, and I'm going to say like an average of 20 to 40 minutes. And when he allows people on his show, people have an average, and I'm going to say an average because it depends on the occasion and everything, an average of 3 to 5 minutes on the show. And that also gets posted on YouTube after it's done, and it's wide aspect ratio, so it's not like entirely like, IG live format, and it's clean. It's very clean. But something that I guess, like, you might see it when you go on his YouTube channel. You'll find it under like the channels tab. Or when you go on his Instagram at Jelani Muna, is, well, at this point, how can he take advantage of a live stream, or how can anybody take advantage of a live stream and turn that into a hook for the first few moments of his show? He could probably just do like freaking television bumpers.
Well, yeah, the very first thing that I can think of, this would be passively. It doesn't mean that it essentially means that it doesn't go into the podcast itself. But since he already has on YouTube, do shorts. Because, for example, a lot of streamers rely on shorts, or it can even be long format, but they need to be edited. I don't know what's his availability or whatever, but a lot of people that today, for example, Destiny and all that are streamers, they wouldn't get discovered if they didn't make videos. So videos are an amazing way, no matter how little editing even just a mere fact of you just using the stuff that is high tension, let's call it that, the stuff that really matters, the highlights, in a way, it's already going to improve your discoverability. So, for example, if you can find yourself, my biggest issue with commentary is the editing. Here's the thing, it's catch-22, right? I want to edit my own videos because I only trust myself to edit them, but then I don't have the energy or time to edit everything that I want to do. But if you have a podcast and you have the availability to just dedicate like 30 minutes to create a video, I think that should help you out a lot, because that's what I see from a lot of people who started off very low or very small and have good or a certain audience. then you can blow that shit up by making yourself discoverable, which YouTube is a little bit tough, but once that happens, it doesn't stop. So, or TikTok, to be honest, use anything.
Yeah.
Well, with the shorts, that was going to be the plan for 2023 for me to do some TikTok highlight clips for that.
That works beautifully.
Yeah. I was also thinking about doing like having the episodes also be on Spotify as like audio episodes, you know, so that you can listen to if you're busy doing something or sleeping. And quite honestly, a lot of the ideas and everything I've kind of thought of, and these ideas are what I'm going to do in 2023. So it's great though, you know, it's good. However, the thing about it is that like I do two types of shows and everything. The blue shows and green shows. The blue shows are the one where people can join in. The green shows are where people can't join in. I just talk about things on my mind and everything. And the great thing about the type of thing, the great thing about the way that I do my episodes and everything is that there's a potential that I could have pre-recorded episodes and everything. I could do that, which is going to be the plan for 2023 as well. You know, just to test out everything. I could do all sorts of content, all forms of content on Instagram because of the way that I do it.
Everything, Jelani, everything, you know, Silvartop said about like shorts, and everything now that you said, Jelani, about posting to, you know, for example, Spotify, Apple Music, I think you know exactly how that went with the Loophole Podcast. It's just a thing where it's like, if you have time to focus on only one thing, which I don't, and I sort of envy that out of basically both of you. If you have time to focus and commit to only one thing, it is freaking, bro, it brings you the best of the best when it comes to results. If you have the ability to produce short form content, do it before February. Definitely get onto that shit. I'm talking, it's very possible to dedicate one day, no, half a day into making short form content that will last for a week. And obviously there's short form content, and people do like what, 2 shorts per day or something like that. Like they, you know, the consistency when it comes to short form content is crazy, but these are people who just dedicate a single day to be able to produce content that lasts for the whole week, and then they focus on the long form, they focus on like on the main thing. That's for people who have time. And not only that, there's also, I guess, what were we talking about? Yes, posting the audio variants of, you know, the podcast, or posting audio variants of the show. If you have time, if you can commit, that is incredible. It's amazing, and definitely recommend to do it. However, if you don't have time for that and you're trying to do that, you will trail, you will fall behind. You have to be able to find and make the balance, you know, between all of that. And I think if you have the time, then you're perfectly capable of doing that, Jelani. Same with Silvartop. You can, you know, like translate your content into short form content and allow even more people to be attracted by, say, your personality during the commentary. But for me, it's kind of difficult because, you know, I got so many fucking things I'm doing and shit that I can't focus on the podcast, because that neglects a lot of what I'm doing behind the scenes. Music, when you don't have the correct promotional method, is a gamble. And the clothing brand, when you're not spending 100% of your time into, and cannot produce enough capital, for example, to invest into advertising, is also a gamble. and mostly just cricket sounds. So it's I'm doing multiple niches, but for you, Jelani, and for you, Silvartop, for example, you guys are mostly capable of 100% focusing into what you're already doing and basically get into the advertising, process. Jelani, you are 100% capable to do basically what the Loophole Podcast can't, which is good. Honestly, that's what I want you to do. I want you to do things that no other people can. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to do things that only Jelani Muna can do. And
Yeah, definitely.
just like, Silvartop, I want to be able to see Silvartop do things that Silvartop only can do. Because it's entertaining at the end of it, you know what I mean? But you can't be too unique, though. that's something you still gotta go through the whole fucking protocol of content creation and shit like that. But you can't be too unique in this space.
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind, I gotta leave right now. But yeah, this podcast was absolutely fucking amazing. And consider inviting me next time. Jesus.
Bro.
It's a great time to spend, actually. Because here's the thing, even if people don't, a lot of people get shut down. Oh, we don't get a lot of views. You need to understand that you could have spent this time talking with someone and no one would watch. So there's a lot of people who overthink content creation with streaming or podcasts, whatever. And sometimes people need to just do it.
Yeah. So just know, as a bit of information, I'm hoping that I'm able to tell you this information as quickly as possible, and that you're able to make an exit knowing the logistics of everything. But we do this every single Saturday at 7:30 p.m. your time, and it is literally just an open mic. We go on the, if you saw the server, we go on the Insane Asylum VC. And you have the role to be able to join that. Not many people got that role on the server. But anytime you just feel like talking about anything, bro, and you see that I'm live doing the podcast, you are literally able to join and just like we're just doing shit. You know what I mean? Right. And there's going to be my friends. There's going to be Jelani, obviously. You're going to be meeting a lot more people. So, it's mostly like... It doesn't get too crowded. I don't want it to get too crowded. But yeah, you're able to join, bro. You have been a wonderful guest. You have been a wonderful person to talk with about content creation. Would definitely love to work with you with content in the future, whether it be on my channel or your channel, whatever. Yeah, you've been dope on that regard. It has been a blast having you on this podcast, and good luck to you, bro, because you fucking rock, bro.
What matters is having fun doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you so much to you. Bye.
All right, man. You have a good one, bro.
Yeah.
What a dope dude.
Yeah. The best thing about the podcast is making people feel comfortable on the podcast every single time.
Yeah. It's important. Man, I think we're going to end this because we've been fucking going for like 2.5 hours. So,
yeah.
It has been dope doing this episode, Jelani. I hope, you've gathered some knowledge from it. I definitely have. I'm leaving
I
this.
have too. Yes.
Yeah, I'm leaving this podcast knowing that I've learned something, and honestly, that's fucking dope. I'd like to work with this dude, some more, bro.
Definitely in the future.
Yeah,
it'd be great for the both of us.
Yeah, bro, he would just be like a dope homie to just be around. I think that's that for sure, bro. Like, he didn't have that like stranger feeling. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
He got into there, like we spoke before the podcast, like he got into there like not being a stranger. He was there like almost as a homie, bro.
Yeah.
But
this was a great way to start off 2023.
Very great. And you guys will see us again this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, and we're doing it all over again. I'm hoping to get a guest. Look, 2023, we're definitely planning to get more guests. We're hoping to break the matrix, not to sound like Andrew Tate at all. I'm just saying To me, I have a different definition of the Matrix. Andrew Tate has his definition, which is like some fucking mafia shit. No, the Matrix, the Matrix to me is the wall between reality and Hollywood, and I want to break that because we're just some regular ass human beings, but so is Hollywood.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna end this podcast. It has definitely been a lot of fun. I'm going to fucking bed, bro. And I'm gonna work on some more content. The reaction channel is fucking popping off at the moment.
Yeah, which is great though. Which is great. And for me, I think tomorrow I'm gonna be posting some of the highlight clips on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. You should see that tomorrow, probably in the afternoon, possibly. For your time will be in the evening, but for my time in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I'm dedicating a new channel. I'm separating it, like how you're separating the reaction videos from your main channel. I'm doing that for my YouTube Shorts.
I mean, I don't think you necessarily need to separate because it's the same content. If you think about it, it's really. It's it's not like you're doing two different niches. For example, you're in the same universe. You're doing a talk show and podcast. I mean, that's the category. I know yours more. You're more like around the category of talk show, but definitely. Yeah, no, I don't know why you would need to separate because like you're just doing the same form of content but just in a different format.
Well, I guess maybe I should put it on the same channel. I'll see.
Because like you need that growth. I mean, you need the branding, and people need to know Jelani Muna, and just I don't know. Don't just like do throwaways, but. Just make everything look clean. I have faith that you're able to do something like that. If you have the time for it, you're capable of it. I told you. The podcast, bro, I don't got time for that shit. I'm doing other things. The only thing I can do is eventually hire people to fucking do shit for me because that's all I can do.
The hardest part though, and I was thinking about it, is should I put subtitles on the YouTube Shorts? Or
yes.
No?
Yes.
Okay.
People have no fucking attention span. Think like a consumer. You look at TikToks, you look at Instagram Reels, you look at YouTube Shorts. They're all doing one thing, which is trying to keep your attention. And as a short form content creator, you got to look for an easy way to literally just shit them out. You have to like when it comes to short form content, and it's something that I just wish that I could do, and I'm trying to make time for it, and I might do it, or I might just create a niche channel that's not even like Loopy or Blanche or anything, and just fucking practice, I guess. You got to dedicate one entire day. Say you're awake for 18 hours. You are to dedicate one day to make sure that you have enough content ready for the week. That's like 2 or 3 shorts per day. That's a lot of videos. That's a lot of time. But that's how people roll, and that's how people fucking make the money.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like, well, right now, like it's easy because I don't have anything else right now. But I have looked into finding a job, so that's going to be probably the hardest part about everything. But if I'm able to handle all that, if I'm able to figure it out, then it should be good to the point where I may not even need to carry on with having that job because JMS will be my job.
Yeah. Well, on that note, my friend, I think we're going to cut this short. This has definitely been a resourceful and valuable live stream. I've learned a lot from this man. Like, seriously. I want to, learn more and talk more with this individual, man. That's definitely want to be fucking homies with this dude, bro. He's a sick, content creator, really enjoy his content, his personality going into everything, and I see myself in a lot of things that he's already, experienced in the platform, and it would just not make sense not to, know more or learn more from him. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the Loophole Podcast or listening to it. You guys can see us every single Saturday on YouTube and Twitch at the same time at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. UK time every single Saturday. We're here to stay. We're going to try to get more guests in the future. That is definitely our resolution. I have a specific number in my head in terms of like quantity of guests, and I'm hoping that this actually, starts to be a lot more fun. The open mic is definitely fun, but we seem to have a lot of fun when we just bring people in that has never consumed this community before, and we're just discussing shit. You know what I mean? It's definitely a lot of fun. So we're gonna get more guests in the future, way more. I mean, for 2022, we've already matched the quantity of guests we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
1. So good start.
Let's double it to 2.
Let's double it next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next week. Bless up and stay hype.
Reach the top.
Lady Gaga can go fuck herself in this new year 2023. And penis.